We have a smaller but select group of folks here this morning, I see. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. My name is Nikki Norman. This is Reverend Charlie Grindle, who comes every year to do our Janus service. We're delighted to have him here today. Delighted to have you all here today, too. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Saco and Biddeford. We also want to welcome those joining us on YouTube and encourage you to have a candle or chalice to light when we light ours here in a few moments. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whomever you love, we're glad that you are here with us today. The theme for the month of December is presence. And we invite you to carry that theme with you as you are here with us today and into your daily life when you leave today. We commit to be co-stewards of this land and to work toward a world that is just and thriving for the whole web of life. We invite you to take home the order of service for information and announcements, or you may leave it for recycling as you leave the sanctuary. And we ask that you please silence your cell phones. And there will be a social hour after the service, but it will be without coffee or goodies because no one signed up for that. So please join us because we'd love to say hello. Charlie, can you sound the singing bowl, please?
Make sure it's still in mute.
Good morning. With mounds of greenery and brightest ornaments, we bring summer to these rooms, seemingly in spite of the somberness of winter come. In time of want, when life is hoarding up against the next unexpected spring, we celebrate and give of what we have away. All creatures bend to rules. Even the stars are constrained. There is a blessed stillness in the human need to go against the grain of cold and alacrity. We make a holiday as obscure as ancient solar festivals, as clear as the joy on one small face.
Does it by itself sometimes?
Okay? Please join us in the first.
Please stand and join us in singing hymn 138.
Come on. Did I miss a verse?
Is there another verse?
I missed a verse.
I think we're finished 4.
We good?
Please join me in the words of the Lady of the Chalice. This is our promise
to gather together in peace, to seek truth and love, to serve human need, so that all shall grow in harmony with the divine.
Are we on? Here we are. We are on. Hi, this is the time in our service when we invite folks to come forward if they like, to share a joy or to share a sorrow with those of us that are here. And this isn't a time for announcements or for political statements, anything like that, but just something from the heart. So if you'd like to come forward, feel free to do so. Light a candle, tell us your name, share your joy or sorrow, or you can light a candle in silence if that's better. So feel free to come forward. Well, I'll start. For me, it's a joy to end the year here at the UUCSB and look forward to the new year. There are challenges, there are lots of joys coming up as well as challenges. So I'm going to light a candle for that. Last call. Oh, Pat, okay.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. I want to share two things. First of all, I miss Carlo and Doreen so much. Just look around and they're not here. It's hard. And the other thing is, for Christmas, my son-in-law gave me a little white church that was porcelain and it lights up. And he said, that's because I know that your sanctuary lies within your church. And he said, I want you to always have this. So it's in your home to remind you that you are loved and welcomed and that you have sanctuary in your church. And I told him I was going to leave it up all year round. And I'm so grateful that he thought of me in that way.
Anyone else? Last call. All right, I'm going to light a last candle, which is for the joys and the sorrows that we hold in our hearts. And would you join me in the peace candle affirmation by repeating after me, may peace be with us and all the beings in the world. May peace be with us and with all the beings of the world.
The unexpected new year. I write this and you will read it at the start of a new year. I say new because that's how it's parceled out, according to the proper number of days and weeks and months to make a year. One is over, another is beginning. For the next couple of weeks, you'll persist in writing the wrong year on your checks and letters. Quickly, the new year will simply become the year, and the old year will be attached to all that's past. To me, New Year's has always seemed a rather arbitrary festival, a grand excuse for a good party, a useful time for reflection, an occasion for resolutions to be made, or at least toyed with, for the future. I don't subscribe to the notion of time that the New Year traditionally promotes, with the old geezer being shown the door as a new tyke in diapers makes her entrance. I think the time accumulates for each of us, and that the slate is never made completely clear. It's more like a mural that we can't keep adding panels to. bending around the corners of our lives. There are such things as New Year's in all our lives, but rarely do I think that they begin and end according to the Roman calendar. They begin at times by choice and at times by chance, rather arbitrary moments of transformation, perhaps in a moment of loss. Other times when we feel the control of our lives and decide to make a decision differently. Maybe in that rare moment when we know we are in love, or when we start a new job, or have a baby, write a poem, change our mind, lose a friend, look in a mirror. You'll know the time. You'll know when it's your own new year. When it happens, raise a toast. Throw confetti, wear a funny hat, blow on a noisemaker, even if it's July, especially if it's July. Happy New Year, whenever. And now it's time for the Janus Festival. Oh, I like festival, I like that. That's even better than a ritual. Please take the slip of paper that was by the door and your pencil and write something that you have changed in the past year or something you want to change in the next year. When you're finished, come up the side aisle by the organ, drop the piece of paper in the Janus box, step through the gate of the new year, and I'll be on the other side to welcome you. This year we have cranberries and mangoes. Nikki and I made the executive decision that the small candles would be much more stable than the battery-operated ones. Please join us now in singing hymn 119, Once to Every Soul and Nation. Glad to see you all here. We're warming up. Looking back on 2024, it really hasn't been an annus horribilis at all. Some bright spots, some dark spots. Marvelous pictures from the Hubble telescope, good unemployment figures, gas prices seem to be dropping, evil regimes have been overcome, more alternative energy sources are being encouraged, and there is the reopening of Notre Dame. The awful things are pretty awful. Genocide, famine, nuclear threats, emboldened dictators, the 1% getting even richer, and more rights being taken away or in the process of being taken from us. But that doesn't seem like new news, does it? Did anything terrible and really new happen in 2024? The level of horribleness depends on one's point of view and your connection to the news. As a responsible community, we try to be aware and hopefully engaged in world affairs, but can all seem overwhelming some days. In addition to buying local, we need to act local. And this parish does that quite well. It's easy to get bogged down sometimes in the how and lose track of the why. Perhaps the anticipation of darker days to come has altered our perception of what's new. Anticipation. Remember the Heinz ketchup commercial with a Carly Simon song? Remember the wall at Mar-a-Lago? This time of year, the shadows are long, but the light will lengthen, however slowly, but it will. As I sat at my desk and gazed out the window, I could see the shadow of my house moving slowly across the grass as the sun moves through the morning. Although I'm now sitting in the shadow, I remember all the sunlight that was there yesterday, enjoy the light that will be there today, and know that there will be sunshine again tomorrow morning. Sometimes we find ourselves in long, sad shadows, but there will be a time of bright sunshine. We need to constantly reassure ourselves and those around us that the future will become the past and another road can and will be taken. A friend has recently had some major battles with friends concerning the way they voted, which might allow things to happen in the future. He's worrying about a future caused by a break in a present relationship. The near past is affecting the now and will affect the future. I know it's hard to let go of the upsetting thoughts of the past, and it often seems difficult to embrace the good. Perhaps that's the way the media has trained us. We look for the bad. It sells more papers and gets us more hits on the web. Ah, for the days of the Grit. Remember the Grit, the only newspaper that carried just good news? I sold subscriptions in the neighborhood, and it wasn't very popular, which I never could understand. Good news might require a bit of searching these days. Are there bipartisan bills waiting to be passed? Will Gaza and Ukraine find ends to their lengthening wars? Perhaps local good tidings. 3 more immigrant families have found housing. There are enough jobs for everyone. There are no lines at the gas pump. There is no toilet paper shortage. In the not too far past, perhaps I was really expecting the outcome to be different. Maybe my sense of quiet acceptance felt natural at that point in time. Perhaps I'm still in shock. Not moving, having reached a set of anger yet. Not wanting to get the broader possibilities, not only for myself in terms of personal freedom and possibly continued health care, but for my family and my friends and for the world. Disappointment is the deepest part of my core right now. How could so many people make the mistake to personally head toward the opposite pole? Do they really think, as my brother does, that our system of checks and balances will hold? Playing devil's advocate or confused angel for a moment, perhaps the government will come to its senses and keep things moving forward, not backward. Maybe it won't be as bad as I anticipate. But I'm fearful that cowardice will win out, and our country will be challenged as never before. I see cowardice as doing what you're told instead of doing what you know is right. Is the comfort of doing what those around you are doing greater than that feeling of actually doing what you know is right? As my mother used to say, if everyone was jumping off a bridge, would you jump too? I didn't really understand that as a child, but now I do. Conversely, perhaps I remember the resistance is happening. Will I follow that crowd or just watch as things unfold? One of my college professors called me an ice princess. I watch things happening without actually being involved or participating. This is one time I hope he is very wrong. But what can I do? Well, at the end of the year, I certainly didn't expect to be approaching this morning's words from the angle of the loser. I expected to be a gracious winner, spreading encouraging, caring words to those who needed to change course. Now I find myself being one of those that I need to give advice to. What should I tell myself that I was going to tell others? After the disappointment wore off, I realized life would go on, and that for a time, not much would change. But the advice needs to be taken instead of given. Here are a few bullet points from Jill Seti, Doctor of Psychology from UC Berkeley's Greater Good Science Center. Number one, she suggests we show gratitude. That seems easy enough, taking it day by day. The sun came up, I woke up, there was coffee. Many of my friends are still friends. I'm grateful I have a family who still love each other. My spirit still has a home with like believers. There is no overt war in our country. Number two, stay connected. Although I am shying away from social media, I try to reach out to friends, letting them know I'm okay, and I hope they are. I listen to very few news reports now, only getting the basics for my morning 5 things you need to start your day. Shopping every day is a good part to stay in touch with people. Use your skills to help the greater good. Identifying your skills that might help others could take a second, but I know music and humor, both fairly strong in my toolbox, will help. Holding the space for others who need to vent or share fears is very necessary right now. Trying to fix is not as important as listening deeply. 4, do something today to make tomorrow better. I had a hard time with this one. My first thoughts were give more to the food bank, adopt a pet, volunteer at a clinic, all great things to do. And then I thought about talking to the people whose point of view I don't understand. Try to understand the way they feel and why they support the people they do, and share my feelings with them. That might help each other in the years ahead. Number 5, concentrate on good news. Well, there is some good news out there. These things can help us remember that now is not the then. We should try to savor and appreciate where we are right now in the great scheme of things. That's an interesting phrase, isn't it? The great scheme of things. Who sets up the great scheme? Where do the ideas come from? Do we have any control over the great scheme, or are we simply moving down the road that is in front of us? I used to think we have control of our own happiness. We can change the direction of our lives if we need to, and can see another more pleasant way to follow that path. How many mountains are we expected to climb before we get to rest and enjoy the view? And what then can we see? We know the bear went over the mountain and all that he could see. I know you're seeing it, aren't you? You remember that. I'd like to think we'd have a pleasant vista of peace and joy. These mountains of frustration and anger seem insurmountable at times, but we must keep climbing and help others find footholds. At times, we may want to stop climbing and just surrender to the fatigue and frustration, but we can't do that. Giving up is not an option. Here are some suggestions from a fellow seminarian to help us find our way forward. Trust yourself. Feel sure that you can manage whatever comes in the coming years. Knowing you're not alone can help give you a sense of strength to carry on and to do what needs to be done. Grieve. It's okay to grieve. To feel that nothing can get worse, nothing will get better. Community grief can help lead to change, especially at the local level. But don't let grief be your focus for the next 4 years and beyond. Release what you can't change. True, some things can't be changed by ordinary people like us. Note, ordinary is a relative term. Things around you can and do get better with these thoughts. Don't self-censor. Even when it's scary, say what you really feel. Join with groups that make small noise to let others know they're not alone in their unhappiness. As John Lewis would say, get in good trouble, necessary trouble, and help redeem the soul of America. Envision a positive future. Nothing lasts forever. It's important to remember that things will change. We can only hope that the things that are changing now are not permanently changed for the worst. That's why we need to stay active and aware. We need to be active of all the parts of the system, even if we don't agree with the present direction. Change from within is very effective. If we truly want to be part of the change we wish to see in the world, we must stay in the world and share that vision of a better future with like-minded people. Reverend Steve Garnas-Holmes from the Rolling Ridge Retreat Center in North Andover, Massachusetts, writer of The Unfolding Light, a daily meditation, shares these thoughts on the present. When news is bad, take seriously your grief. It is love stripped bare. Let it flow through you. Trust that you are held. Know that you are not alone. Bear your sorrow. Ancestors and even unborn generations walk with you gratefully. Seek others who are tender-hearted. Rejoice with all the grace you can. In the flesh is best, but in the spirit, we know we are here. Trust the goodness. Refuse to despair. Choose courage over selfishness. Trust over fear. Love over anger. There is much we cannot change, but bring healing where we can. We are not promised to be given light, but to shine with light. Don't become an enemy of the world and its brokenness. Stay tender. Become a source of comfort and joy for others. Let this purpose bear you through the darkness, and you yourself will become light. Take courage. Trust grace. Stay connected. Practice love. A reading from Samuel Jonathan Lipton. I was thinking about that $1 billion prize the other day and thinking, where's John Beersford Tipton when you really need him? Raise your hand if you remember John Beersford Tipton. Yes, oh good. I'm not the oldest one in the room. It's when the earth shakes and the foundation crumbles that our light is called to rise up. It's when everything falls away and shakes us to the core and awakens all of those hidden ghosts that we dig deeper to find that once inaccessible strength. It's in times when division is fierce that we must be there for each other and hold each other much, much tighter. Do not fall away now. This is the time to rise. Your light is being summoned, that it may stand tall. When everything collapses, we must find within us that which is indomitable. Rise and find the strength in your heart. Rise and find the strength in each other. But through your devastation, make it your fuel. Bring forth your light. Now is not the time to be afraid of the dark. Let us all stay beacons of light in this darkening world, as candles that come together form a glorious bonfire that will answer bonfires on other hills. Although there are wide valleys between the hills, we can see each other on the mountaintops. We are still part of that web that keeps us connected to all that is good and true. May our pain along the way be lessened by being shared with others who trudge along the path towards sweet wholeness. Moving forward, one unsure and perhaps painful step at a time, will lead us to a future that may shine brighter for having passed through the darkness. Blessed be, and amen. Please join me now in a quiet space within, holding a thought in silence, letting your heart speak its deepest desires, and connecting at the second gong. Please join me now with a responsive reading on page 597, Love versus Hate. Never does hatred cease by hating in return.
Only through love can hatred come to an end.
Victory breeds hatred.
Conquered by sorrow and resentment.
They who give up all thoughts of victory or defeat
May be calm and live happily at peace.
let us overcome violence by gentleness.
Let us overcome evil by good.
Let us overcome the miserly by liberality.
Let us overcome the liar by truth.
Thank you.
In the last night of the old year, the night we call New Year's Eve, and the mood is melancholy, filled with fragments of where we have been.
Just looking forward, but also looking back to when all the 100 days that passed before.
come to this isn't nothing but a kiss in this
Now, this is the time where we share our gifts with the church, and yes, our monetary gifts. This is our chance to support the working of this church. And as always, half of our plate offering goes out to a nonprofit in the area to help with their work. And I don't remember the exact name this month, but it's ILAP. And what it is, it offers legal aid to immigrants. So the ushers will wait upon you. Please be generous. Join us in singing hymn number 287.
Please be seated.
One must have a heart in winter to regard the frost in the boughs of the pine tree crusty with snow, and have been cold a long time to behold the juniper shag
with ice. The spruces, though, in the distance glitter in the January sun, and not to think of any misery in the sound of the wind, in the sound of a few leaves, which is the sound of the land, full of the same wind that is blowing in the same bare place. For the listener who listens in the snow, and nothing himself, holds nothing that is not there, and the nothing that is. Please join me in the words of the chalice extinguishing. As we release this flame from its selfish service today, will this spark in us
And this concludes our service. Please join us in the parish hall for a social hour, and feel free to remain seated to listen to the postlude.